Fuzzy dice, check. Whack-a-con bobblehead doll.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another fantastic Tuesday here on the Exploding Dice channel. My name is Askren, and you are watching Fuzzy Dice, the Dungeon Master Show. What's going on, cranky old mage? How you doing, Two North, Firebringer Axel? Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Just had a little bit of technical difficulties, but that's fine. We're all sorted out and good. Let's turn studio mode off. Thank you, of course, for the hosts, guys. Thank you to Friendly Fire TV and Two Dorks and all you guys. If you haven't already, the retweet link is there in chat. Go hit that. Tell all your friends. Today, we have a good show for you guys, actually. I am hanging out, not on this side of me, actually on this side of me, with Mr. Aaron Hubrich. Is that how you pronounce it? Am I pronouncing that right? I'm good. It's like hubris, but not as bad. From Conceptopolis. How is it going, my friend? Absolutely, man. Let's turn off some Optimus Rhyme. We don't need him. We do want our fantasy music back. So yeah, we are here to talk about some cool stuff for you guys, and we're gonna jump right into that. But before we do, I feel like we should go through some announcements. This music should probably let's find some cooler music. Hold on. We'll go with this one. This one's cool, right? I don't know. It hasn't started yet. Oh, he can't hear you. Oh, I forgot. I couldn't see the meter, so they couldn't hear you. I'm here with Aaron from Conceptopolis. How's it going, man? Sorry, so many. I haven't. My OBS has been set up for something else, and I forgot to go back and change all my settings. And I'm having. He's been enduring like a million technical difficulties.
I've been speaking with a British accent for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is the first time I've heard him without it. It's really jarring. How is it going, Sarah Farrat? How are you? Once again, if you haven't already, please hit that retweet link. We got some cool stuff for you. Not the least of which is that monthly giveaway that we have been shouting out and talking about so much is ending tonight at 10 p.m. the very end of the show. There it is! ! Giveaway in chat. So if you haven't entered, definitely go hit that up. It's your last chance to enter. You can win. It's all the way on the other side of the room. I'm not going to go get it. You can win a brand new D&D 5th Edition Player's Handbook, as well as a set of dice for you, and that'll be shipped out, to wherever you are in the world, and it's going to go to one lucky person. It's going to have a new home. So we're really hyped to give that away. It's been going on all month, and I definitely want to see who wins. And of course, you guys want to hear what the giveaway for next month is. I know that's what you guys want. Yeah. So that is one. Of course, if you haven't been here before, you guys may see there's a big red bar. It's like way down in the corner over there, and it's all the way full, and that means we crushed our donation goals for February, and we crushed it so much that we have some things that are coming up in March for you guys that you have earned. The first of which is we hit our first donation goal, which was that I have to DM in a wizard costume for an unspecified amount of games. So I promise you that is definitely happening. I will revel in my players' anguish for that. And the other thing is that we hit our next goal, which is a big 12-hour party stream. We're going to be playing games. My friends are going to be coming around. It's going to be really, really hype, and you guys should definitely be there. It's going to be, I think we're probably going to be playing like Paranoia and Big Motherfucking Crab Truckers and all kinds of other fun party games that you definitely don't want to miss. No, there will be no pole dancing, at least not for me, but that's because I have sworn off doing shots, $2 shots on stream again. All right, so that's enough. That's enough about of me rambling. I think why don't we turn our attention to the cooler person in the room and ask Aaron. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you what kind of stuff do you get up to? Where do you come from, and what are you here to talk about today?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to come on here and kind of just talk about myself, my favorite subject. No, I'm really not. It's such an odd thing. I'm usually so used to talking about everybody else. So so if you have to pull something out of me, I apologize. But no,
I'm
it's a pleasure
licensed to do
here.
that.
But no, it's really cool to be here. I appreciate it. No, it's now we've got what's going on. How we were introduced is that I guess I was able to get the word out well enough about our new Gods and Goddesses book, our 5th edition supplement that we're making. So that's basically what has been dominating our month and a half, 2 months now, and prior to that also. But how we got our start was, and why this book came about, is because we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for so long, and with the open gaming license that Wizards of the Coast so it was nice of them to do that. It gave us the opportunity to create our own content, much like a lot of people. So that's where we are right now. That's what brought us here.
Also, what's his name? Firebringer said that my volume was a little high. I cranked it down a little bit. Just tell me how it is. If it's still clipping high, I will turn my gain down. Is that my gain up or down? I don't remember. Yeah, I think that should be better. I think my gain had somehow gotten a little bit up. Let me know how my volume is if it's still clipping loud. But yeah, no, I actually saw you. I obviously, you'd followed me on Twitter, and I was like, oh, I know these guys because I've seen that name fucking everywhere. Whenever whenever D&D art comes up, and I've obviously I being an artist, I'm a big fan of that stuff, and I was gonna do this Tonight Show solo, and I'm like, you know what? They sent me a DM, and I'm like, you know what? I might as well just say, hey, come, we'll talk about it, because you guys have a book, and it's, I figure that's cool stuff that I love talking about. Is I love talking especially about people who are kind of creating content for D&D and for role-playing games. So definitely an interesting concept. So what exactly you guys do you guys want to talk a little bit about kind of the book itself, or do you want to talk a little bit how you kind of get from to there as like a process, like the end of a process?
Yeah, we'll do it all, man. I'm coming down off of a high a little bit because we just got funded today. So I just wanted to first thank you and thank everyone who made that happen, because last week it was touch and go. We didn't really know if this was going to happen or not. So I can't stress enough how thankful I am to everyone that got on board. And we're not done yet. We've still got a couple more days. We got until Friday morning. So, man, I'm just ecstatic. And so if I'm a little winded, I'm coming out with the flu. I don't care. We got funded. And it's just, I'll be up for probably the next couple days. So, but now this all goes back to, I was in middle school, and I think everyone's kind of got their story on how they got started in Dungeons and Dragons. Well, mine was just by, I think this kid, he saw me drawing and in middle school, and I guess I was one of the better artists in the school. Everyone's, got their little niche. So I was in middle school, and this kid slapped down a little yellow sheet in front of me and said, hey, draw me an elf character in this little square box. And so from there, I was just like, what is this? So I drew it, and he was just he was just going crazy over it. So, and I'm like, what is this for? Is this some kind of game or something? And he was like, yeah, it's Dungeons and Dragons, man. You should check it out. So I was just like, I think I've heard of that. I don't know if I'm really into that. I just draw, man. I was too cool for that. Right. So too cool. And then it wasn't that much longer that a good friend of mine said, you should really play. You really like drawing these characters. You should actually play it. So that was pretty much it. As soon as we played, we butchered the rules. We didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it didn't
I've
matter.
been there.
It was just fun. And, from middle school on, you learn more. I mean, Christmas comes around and you're like, I'll just take anything Dungeons and Dragons, whatever I can get. If it's one book, if it's 50 books, whatever, just get me, it was like crack. Just get me anything you can. So, but what really turned me on was that, I'm a Kentucky kid, and I'm growing up in this little town, LaGrange, Kentucky, outside of Louisville. Basically, it's like 30 miles north of Louisville. Just to give people, some idea. I'm not in Eastern Kentucky or something like marrying my cousin or anything like that. Played a banjo. No, no, I was playing D&D, and but I was inspired by the Jeff Easley covers, the Larry Elmore. Those guys are from Kentucky. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was locked in from the art standpoint, from just being a D&D fan. It always stuck with me. Those guys inspired me. I mean, I went to college because of those guys. Fred Fields was also from Kentucky. He was an artist. And so I followed his path into Cincinnati and a little portfolio school called Cincinnati Academy of Design. It used to be called Central Academy of Commercial Art. So I followed his steps thinking I was going to be the next great fantasy cover illustrator. And that was that was the ego of a eighth grader, freshman in high school going, I'm going to be the next guy. So fast forward to now, and now it's weird because a couple years ago when we were doing the 5th edition stuff, the new art for 5th edition, I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, we're actually doing what I was planning on doing back when I was a freshman in high school, but we're doing it. I mean, it was insane. So it was a surreal moment. Thank you, John Shendahedi, for the opportunity. I think I've said it 1,000 times. I think his ear hurts. I've said it so many times, but this is where we are now because of that one arrogant kid thinking that, I'm going to get a free piece of artwork.
Oh, trust me, I know how it is. By the way, Sarah Ferret says Fred Fields is a great guy too. I've not had the privilege, but I think I had a very similar experience. My dad, I mean, I was always into art, but I was into comic books, and my dad was he had a bunch of old role playing games, not like D&D, but role playing games boxes from when he was in college. And the first time I saw the cover of Ultima Aklabeth, I was like, I love everything about this. This is, I was raised on comic book art, but I'm like, I was hooked.
Yeah, in fact, when I was in college, I think I disappointed a few people. And I pivoted a little bit, and I got into comics big time. And I discovered this is when Valiant Comics was the first iteration of Valiant Comics.
I have all my old Valiant comics still.
And so there's this little hole in the ground comic book store in Cincinnati, near University of Cincinnati. It's no longer there anymore. I think it was called Fantasy Emporium, if I'm not mistaken. But it was a square with stacks and stacks of the beat up old white comic book boxes.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, I didn't know where to start because I knew about comic books. I appreciated them. The same friend who got me into D&D was huge into comic books, and from there it was just I learned about comic books because of Dungeons and Dragons, which was weird. So that was my new path from college on. I got into comic books, self-publishing comic books. Buddy of mine, Josh Blaylock, ended up getting the G.I. Joe license and starting Devil's Due Publishing. So that's where, I mean, from there on, we just kind of mentored each other and got really into comic books. I never really forgot D&D, though. It was always there. It was this, heartbeat underneath all of that. So it's pretty amazing how we got here because of all that. So I wouldn't have learned about comic book like I did without knowing Dungeons and Dragons before that. So, and having those relationships, and I even met my wife playing Dungeons and Dragons. So it's just, there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of you can pick out certain moments.
I think it's again a lot of people kind of have that formative thing. From again, I told you over when we were off screen. For me, it was like comic books, and then the real social thing that I got into was Warhammer. It was tabletop Warhammer, but D&D. I was in the shop with all the people who were playing D&D, and it's like it's all kind of very closely connected. What's going on? Thank you for the host, Rob James Morgan. What's happening? What's happening is I'm hanging out and talking D&D stuff with Aaron here, and we're having a good time. By the way, thank you, Clockwork Chimera and Sarah Ferret, for following. Welcome to the madness, my friends. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so we actually this came up a little bit earlier and it kind of scrolled past in chat, but Firebringer, one of my mods, he says he was checking out Kickstarter like before I even kind of announced that you were on the show. So I guess this was probably yesterday before we had actually talked. And
Yeah.
he said he saw the Gods and Goddesses Kickstarter and thought that it was really cool. There were a lot of really interesting choices there, and I actually, that was one of the things that I was really interested in, because a lot of, you're basically, what it seems like is you're making like a homebrew supplement to kind of fill in a lot of themes and a lot of, there's a lot of kind of different textures and different, flavors of kind of role-playing theme that you have there. It's very much, I think, distinct from the sort of pantheon of normal, like the D&D pantheon or the Pathfinder pantheon or something like that, which is really interesting. I'm always into stuff like that.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't really. It was just kind of an evolution of that concept, because, like I was said in our video on there, I don't want to repeat too much of that, so it keeps it,
Yeah.
the content here. But basically, what I said in the video on the Kickstarter was that this originally started as an art book. It just made sense for us to do something with art, and we were just going to kind of take a very linear path.
Mm-hmm.
But then we were like, man, this would be a killer. This would be an awesome supplement, just to be able to have these gods and available to players. I know I'm looking at it from a player standpoint as a dungeon master or game master, and I'm looking at it going, man, that would just be badass. And
Yeah.
if we can put it in the context, make it contemporary, kind of take the I hate to use it this, but it's how I wrap my head around it. But kind of take a Marvel movies approach and make it very contemporary. Take these images of these classic deities, make them modern, contemporary, and stick them in a D&D environment.
Yeah.
And that was just badass. I'm sorry, that's
Yeah.
me. I love that stuff. I eat that stuff up all day.
I'm the thing that was actually interesting, and I because this is because I don't know necessarily your work process, but I know this is absolutely how I would work. Because you said you were doing it as an art book. If when you're like creating the artwork sort of without like you're not creating the artwork to fit rules, you're just kind of creating artwork. If you're doing that, like, are you also thinking like you already know, like, because when you work in your head, you kind of create stories and
Oh, yeah.
scenes and ideas, and because you're, especially when you spend so long on a painting, like that's a lot of time to just sit there thinking about what you're working on and kind of create,
Big time.
basically write the novel of what's going on.
That's exactly. You're a comic book guy, and I'm a comic book guy too. And it's just, I can't think any way other
Yeah.
than that. We think in almost like a script form. So this is basically the key art that we're using now. This, I didn't want to do too much, because there's a point where you can do too much and shape the storyline too much for the player or for the game master or for a dungeon master. I'm just going to say DM. But I don't want to do we didn't want to do too much and shape it where this is it. You're in this box and you can't do anything else with these gods. Nah, we wanted to leave it. We want to leave it in a way that you can use it and make your own storylines, but there'd be enough meat there for you to go, oh man, I can work with this. I can inject this into my current campaign right now. But yeah, that's when the art, I always have to think of a scene like, okay, this is kind of what we want in the scene. There should be a tree here. The background should have at least something going. There should be elements. There should be a level of depth. Like on the foreground, maybe there's a flower that has some kind of significance, and the middle ground has the character looking at it or looking away from it. Maybe he's distracted by something on the scene. Yeah, I think that way all the time. I can't help it. So, but yeah, that's what we do, and then that hopefully translates well into. We got Jim Pinto doing a lot of doing all the background. Just all the background information that is just so cool to me, because not only you're gonna learn about these deities, but it's also going to be in the context of the book itself, so or in the campaign itself that you're going to use. So, but it's not so stringent at the same time. You can actually take it and use it or discard it, but it's all there. People are going to learn a little bit, and they're also going to use it in their games too.
Yeah, again, there's and especially I think I think this is something that a lot of people have found out, because again, when you and I grew up, there was a lot of third party stuff, but I think there was also like a lot of the third party stuff that I grew up with, like when in 3.5 and stuff like that. It always felt like it always felt at least like it was still like someone was still publishing it, so it was still an official feel to it. So
Yep.
everyone homebrewed, but I don't think a lot of gamers and DMs who are kind of writing their own stuff felt like there was a way to kind of share their homebrewed stuff.
Right.
And it's really interesting that like you have it's so easy to sort of publish a supplement now and kind of get it in the hands of gamers that anyone's really cool and really weird and out there homebrew can just sort of hit like the DM's Guild and other things and help build on other worlds and other games. And it's really, again, that's a really, we were talking about interesting kind of developments and dynamics in gaming, especially in the online era. And I think that's one of the more interesting things is like I was never sharing my homebrew stuff when I was
Right.
when I was writing as a DM.
Right.
But now I can. Now I put my stuff on the DM's Guild if I want.
Exactly. And that the balance is trying to find, would I want to pay $30 for this? That's I kept asking myself, people want to pay $30 for this? Yeah. I keep, in fact, if I could charge $50, I would. I try not to, find the threshold, but no, it's, yeah, man, it's just really cool to be able to do your own thing and try to put your own spin on something that has come before, but just make it more contemporary. I feel like we're not really kind of rehashing. We're just kind of filling in the gaps, I guess, so to speak. Because, there were some gods, like Freya, for example, had been done before, but it hadn't been done to this level. To that we really, really fleshed this out, and with every god and goddess. So, and I think that was one of the creative decisions we thought we've been asked a couple times. Well, why didn't you guys just do pantheons? Why didn't you just stick with a particular pantheon? Well, it's because it's been done before.
Yeah.
And that's okay, and it's great. It's awesome. I grew up on that stuff. But we just didn't want to do another deities and demigods or legends and lore, whatever iteration it was. So we kind of want to do our own spin and really take care to really flesh out each one. And then as we now know, with the success of this, we can build on that, and maybe we will do pantheons. Maybe we will find out where people kind of want. We're listening, so we want to know what folks are wanting. So, and that's the great thing about things like Kickstarter.
Yeah,
we can find out.
So this is actually something that I just had the way. Oh yeah, I just had the way I wanted to phrase this, and it kind of left my head when I looked at something else. But so you guys have essentially you've worked on this or you put a lot of work into this one book. And when your Kickstarter's over, you're gonna kind of take it to publishing and get it in people's hands.
Yep.
Is that sort of I guess would you consider that sort of like lighting a fire under you guys to do more homebrewing stuff or more kind of of your own work? Are you gonna kind of get into the business of setting building or other things like that?
Yeah, that's what I don't think anyone. And here's the thing: I think everyone to a certain point. I think anyone that's ever ran a campaign or been a dungeon master, at least hasn't given the thought of, man, I've got all these ideas I want to do with this world. And take everything that's been published before and go whoop, and throw it out the window. I mean, there's nothing wrong with. There's some great pre-made stuff, but there's nothing like being able to the group that you're working with as far as your party. Your friends. You know how to build a world that just makes them excited. So I would think that, and I think we're now to the point where the homebrew idea is, and to be able to make it so appealing and so well put together that people are willing to buy it. That's awesome. I mean, so I'm not unique in thinking that, oh yeah, I'm the only one that's ever thought about making our own world. Yeah. Just like everyone else, I want to make a really killer, badass world that is, their own version of everyone wants their own token universe. Everyone wants their own Forgotten Realms. I mean, that would be the ultimate plan to be able to do that.
So normally we kind of save Q&A for like the second half, but I feel like we're probably gonna because people want to some people seem to want to ask some questions, so I'm gonna just drop this in chat. If you guys are hanging out with us, by the way, !fuzzy we love, this show is all about kind of talking to you guys and taking your questions and answers, whether it be related to D&D and gaming in general, or you want to talk specifically about this Kickstarter. Obviously, we got the guy here who can answer all your questions about, the Kickstarter, this book, and and all kinds of other stuff, about the industry and kind of the gaming world. But so just drop your questions in chat. Make sure to tag me at Exploding Dice so I don't miss them, or so I can kind of keep them organized. Cranky Old Mage, of course, he says, how did you decide which gods you wanted to include, or I guess create, and are there ones that you had but you couldn't put in the book?
Well, it kind of came down. We wanted to have a good balance, so we wanted to have a little. The main goal that we wanted on this one was to be able to feature gods and goddesses that maybe haven't had their due yet. So, get on Google, just basically get on the internet and find out some just cool gods. That was the initial. I'll be honest with you. That's what we did. We got on there and thought, okay, get a list of gods, kind of narrow it down. What would be appealing? What's new? What haven't we seen before? Mm-hmm. And so, but the big thing that kind of came around is just get some diversity in that hadn't been seen before. We've seen the Greek stuff, we've seen the Egyptian stuff, and that's badass. We love it. But let's come in and do some other things that are just as badass and going to be cool to see. I didn't want to, when we first started, I didn't want to be held. I didn't want to create another version of an Egyptian goddess mm-hmm. or god, another version of some Greek gods or goddesses. It's been done a lot, but so we thought, well, here's an opportunity to do some other gods that are just as awesome, but put our spin on it and maybe take something that's you've seen flat pictures of these paintings of these gods and goddesses before. Well, now we're going to give them dimension, give them, what would these gods and goddesses look like when you see them? This is kind of like how we wanted to. If you were a player and you saw these deities, this is what you'd see, and that was kind of our approach artistically and visually, art direction.
Yeah, so, Firebringer, he says you chose some kind of less well-known gods. There's a lot of Incan, kind of Mesopotamian designs in there. Yeah. Some Asian designs in there. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's what. And again, it just kind of circled back to giving them some spotlight, some time. Because we all grew up on deities and demigods. If you grew up in the first and second edition books, even the 3.5 books. They've all had some spotlight, some time, so it's time to bring in some new gods.
I'm a fan of sort of just pulling from all kinds of supplements. Like in my campaign, yep. I like when I like having a small pantheon that players are familiar with, but I like having a really a large pantheon to draw from, because there can be so many concepts that that aren't explored, and it's like some god may like. You can always find a use for something out of the ordinary, in like a weird cult or a little hole in the corner of your campaign that needs something interesting, that you want to paint a different color.
Now the idea that we were thinking of is that, and we may put this actually in the book, but again, we don't want to shape someone's narrative too much. Mm-hmm. But we were imagining that these gods were like interlopers. They, maybe they left, Earth. Or this dimension or something like that, and injecting themselves, and actually, maybe they're new gods. They're considered new gods. They've only been around for maybe 10, 100 years, and it's like out of the blue, there's a cult or a big push for Fuji, for example. Mm-hmm. I mean, now suddenly you see a bunch of dwarves who, they love Fuji because she's really, she's a goddess of the mountain and lava, and so it's just that's one example. I mean, that's just players can get inspired to use and just kind of shake things up a little bit. Why not? Mm-hmm. You've got these established gods in the Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk and all these other worlds. Why not shake it up a little bit?
It's also, I think it's really interesting, especially if you have if you're playing in an established setting like Forgotten Realms or Golarion for Pathfinder or something like that. Like a setting where basically all the information is published up front, like it's in wikis, it's in books, it's in setting guides, so the players will know everything about the world, unless they don't know what you've changed. But if they say like, okay, I know that like I do a religion check because I recognize this is a symbol of this god, and this, but it might be like, it's always cool to kind of like, when you have players that are in that kind of mentality, like sometimes as a DM you think, okay, how can I throw something in that they haven't seen before? This is this is a relic of a a god that has nothing to do with the information that you know of. And really cool, like really fleshed out supplements, I think are a really cool way of getting inspiration or just dropping that in. Rob James Morgan, he says, was there a focus to put deities into was there a focus to put the deities into a focus on 5e mechanically, or more kind of, I guess, okay, so were these things designed to kind of to fit in alongside the 5th edition Pantheon, or were these kind of designed to sort of just do their own thing, I guess?
Yes, our wheelhouse now is from pretty much the start. As soon as we decided that this art book was going to become a 5th edition supplement, it was like, let's make this a 5th edition supplement and really make it, because there's obviously there's an opportunity there. We saw an opportunity there that there wasn't a deities and demigods book. So and
there probably won't be, because I think Wizards is they're out of the supplement business, I think.
Well, I mean, they're at least, and I don't know if they would or not, but at the same time, there's an opportunity there.
Yeah.
And that we're just, okay, well, if you guys are going to be waiting a while, we'll just go ahead and here's our stuff. And I think that's, if I'm picking up on the vibe, I don't know if they would ever say this or not, and I'm not speaking for them, so legal speak. But I think they kind of want that. This is an opportunity for us to kind of put our spin on stuff that works with their game really well.
No, I actually, again, I have talked to Chris Perkins a decent bit, and I haven't had him on my show yet because he's impossible to pin down. But but Chris is a friend. So is Greg Tito and some other people at Wizards, and they I've asked them a lot about sort of their policy, like, or their basically what their ideas on their publishing goals are for 5th edition. Whereas you have Pathfinder, which they're never going to stop publishing supplements. They're going to keep pumping out like supplements for everything, and whether it's gods or weird gods or alien gods or armor and weapons, and this they're going to put out a supplement for everything. Wizards has taken the other route, and they're going to say like they are publishing campaigns, they are publishing extensions to small extensions to the world, and sort of revisions to old content. Unearthed Arcana, they're publishing classes slowly, this and that. But as for extra content, extra actual fluff content, they seem to be putting that entirely in the hands of the DMs Guild. So like all of Forgotten Realms is presented as it is, and then anything you want to add on to that or anything you want to do for 5th edition, that's up to that's DMs Guild right now. That's the community will do that.
And which is brilliant.
Which is why move. Yeah, which is why, if you kind of come up with a really cool book of gods and goddesses or monsters, or, they did it with Tome of Beasts from, my friends at Kobold and, other people. It's like, if you get a really, really good supplement in, like, it's almost, it's guaranteed that people will see it, because Wizards isn't, you don't have to worry about Wizards coming in and saying, like, nope, here's our official version of this.
Right. Yeah, and it's I guess the idea is to focus on that diversity. Make sure that yours isn't going to just don't make it too derivative. Don't make it fit. Find that gap and fill it and do it. Just kick ass at it. And I think some people are doing that. And then now I can say officially, I think we have filled that role as well. So it's exciting, and it's awesome. I appreciate being able to have that opportunity, because we can kind of get quickly to the market a little bit faster, and I don't know. It's just fun. And first of all, it's just
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I mean it's I do have small issues with the sort of community only publishing thing that you know Wizards has going, like you know, the DM's Guild will handle it kind of mentality. There are some issues I have there, but on the whole, I think it's really cool, mostly because a lot of people I know, like a lot of friends of mine, are able to sort of put out things and make money doing it, and like
Yeah.
that's a thing now, and it's a thing, like the game is sort of built to enable that, and I think in a lot of ways that's really cool. For example, yeah, Firebringer says Wizards also made it clear that 5th edition narratively they want their gods to be sort of less meddlesome, more indirect. You know, with their interactions. But he says, as a 5e homebrewer, I really appreciate their community-driven supplementation. Yeah, which again, I think it has a lot of merits. I have some issues, and I talked about them with the people at Wizards, but you know, I think it's really really cool, especially for the community, because I think it empowers community members to kind of create more and to share more, and you know, share, you know, on Twitter. Just go on Twitter or social media and say, like, here, this is the thing I made. What did you make? I want to use that. You can use my thing. And that wasn't really how we played games back in the day. You know, we didn't really share notes a lot.
Yeah, but now we can. I mean, we can. There's. It's so. I find it fascinating that you can find a niche and make it awesome. I mean, if I mean, I don't want to get crazy, but I mean, you can do some pretty crazy 5th edition stuff now that wasn't even, you couldn't even think about it. I mean, I understand what Wizards of the Coast wants to do. What they want to do is exploit, or I shouldn't say exploit, but leverage their ability to, they have the Beholders and
Yeah.
their version of Tiamat. They're going to exploit their IP, intellectual property, as much as they can. And man, I would too. I mean, can you imagine being able to see a really well done, D&D movie or something? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, they can do that now, but whereas 15 years ago, yeah, it was being done, but I think we can all kind of wink, wink,
So I think the question then becomes, like, again, because we said the same thing. I remember we said the same thing about Games Workshop, and it's like, was there ever really, like a good, like, they could make a great D&D movie because they care, they're taking real good, real close care of their IP.
Yeah.
But will they? Is it likely, or
Right.
like, are we just gonna get another, like, a straight to DVD D&D movie at some point? I don't know. That's just the cynic in me, but
one day, they remember, keep in mind that just 20, 30 years ago, the thought of being able to do a Spider-Man movie was laughable. There was some hope back when I was in college. There was this rumor and this thing that James Cameron was going to make a Spider-Man movie, and then Marvel.
Yeah, I think I
Marvel
remember
went
that.
out of business. I mean, they tanked and they folded. And now we have, now they're the biggest box office other than maybe Star Wars now.
Hey,
So
I've been sending messages to Todd McFarlane at least once a year saying, like, come on, man, the time is right. Like, we forgive you for the last Spawn movie. Just do it over and do it right.
That reminds me. You just brought up a memory, because I was working at a comic book store. I will give a shout out to Comic Book World in Cincinnati, Ohio, or now in Florence, Kentucky officially. But we did, back when I was in a band in the 90s, we did a thing back when the toys were starting to hit the stores, the McFarlane toys, or when it was called Todd Toys, I think. Here's a little trivia for you kids. But we did.
Oh God, that was. I'm trying to remember what year that was.
94.
I was gonna say 93, 94, or something like that. Yeah.
But we did an event called. It was a charity event called Spawnapalooza.
Okay.
So there you go. So that brings back a lot of memories. But yeah, that was fun. But you just reminded me that it was because they were bringing out their movie, and then we all left the theater going, "Well,
that was a thing." Yeah.
Awesome.
No, that's, dude. I tell them every time. You don't have to talk to me about it, because I have my signed first issue sitting on the shelf right over there. Like, that's my childhood, and I'm like, come on, man, the time is right. Superhero
Do
movies are a thing now. You have the technology. Just do it.
Yep.
Netflix, straight to Netflix. I don't care.
Yeah, if they can reboot Spider-Man 700-800 times, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Oh man. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll back through the questions here.
We lost people. We segued.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, no, okay. So people were just talking a little bit about the sort of homebrew policy, about how Wizards and their policy around. I gotta say, by the way, this is something I don't know if I expressed when 4th edition was the thing. My problem with 5th edition, or my problem with 4th edition, was not the rules. My problem was the fact that they didn't publish any modules.
Right.
They published nothing, no published adventures except outside of their magazine, and that was when Pathfinder was putting out fucking all kinds of shit and really good adventures. And I'm like, I just want adventure modules, because that's how I DM. Is I take from adventure modules, I cut them up and Frankenstein them back together.
Right.
And so the fact that they're doing like full actual campaigns now, like with a lot of work put into them, is I like to see that they that they found value in that. Because that's something that I, as a DM, place a lot of value on. Yep.
No, I mean, a lot of people, seems to be two camps, and they're like vicious with each other, but it's just, for me, when I was running a campaign, I didn't have time. I mean, it already takes long enough to set up a game and study your notes. And if I were to create something completely from scratch, I mean, I think every dungeon master always kind of deviates they're always kind of working their way through the maze of a already laid out adventure, because you never know. I mean, especially my group, and I'm looking at you, if they're listening in right now, because it's impossible to know what your group is going to do, and so you're kind of wrangling. Yeah, but it comes back to there's only so much time to put into preparing for a game. And so I'm very appreciative of the pre-made content. So,
actually, Firebringer, he says he can't run published adventures. He doesn't really enjoy it as a DM, and that's. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually doing on the channel right now. I'm doing my first real homebrew in year. Like my last homebrew world was probably when I started being a DM in 4th edition. And so I that was I wrote the shittiest homebrew in the world. Like, it was horrible. I've told stories about it on stream, but it was awful. And I left that thinking, like, man, I am just not a writer. I am acutely aware of how not a writer I am. And so what then that was when I stumbled on Pathfinder, and they had a lot of adventure modules. And one of the, their adventure modules weren't like the ones that I was reading for 4th edition. They weren't dungeon crawls. They had more to them. They aspired to be, narrative arcs and have characters and stuff like that. And so I was reading these, and I was thinking, these are really cool, and I love running them. I wanted to run them, and over time, as I did, I realized I'm not a great writer, but I'm a pretty decent editor. So I have a pretty decent ear for, like, when you're reading through an adventure, and it's like, okay, and then this NPC comes in and he twirls his mustache because he's the villain. You're like, wait, why are they fighting? This guy hasn't had enough screen time to be a villain. The players don't know his name. They don't know why he's evil. They haven't seen, like, there's no setup. There's no whatever. There's no payoff here. So I realize, like, I tend to read through adventures and go in and tweak those details and paste in content and stuff like that. Yeah. And I create a narrative, and then you're right, you can't account for what players are going to do, but for me it's really fun to sort of watch players engage with this, and then as they go, just see, okay, I already have my notes, I just need to rewrite my notes,
Right.
Just for the choices they make and who they are and what they're paying attention to and stuff. And that, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's how they're designed to run. No adventure is designed to run like you put your nose in the book and then you never look up from it. Like,
yeah,
the book is there to be a guide. It's not a Bible.
Yeah, in fact, I remember a discussion with Jim Penta that I had, and I was like, I actually like the read out loud text. I kind of like it. I admit it.
Oh, I love box text.
It's shocking to. He was like that. I think he was. If he could have thrown something through the screen, he would have, and I would have it bruised. But no, so it just depends on what you want. But I like I like giving a break, setting the scene, but for every single room, I mean, he wrote the world's biggest dungeon or the world's largest dungeon. I don't, and I'm butchering the title, but I'm
Yeah.
probably
Oh,
pretty
I
close.
think I used to have that. I never ran it though.
But so if he said, if I had to read out loud
Hmm.
text for every single freaking room in that, I would
Yeah,
still
yeah,
be
yeah.
writing it.
No, I get,
So I get it. I
but
get it.
here's the thing: is the reason I love box text is because for me, like, it's just when you're dealing with things and when you're dealing with a scene and stuff, when you have a text like a box text for a new room, for me as a DM, it's kind of a moment for me to kind of like look at this. I sort of take a breath, and I like,
Hmm.
even if something wacky or high pressure or something was happening in the next room, it's time like. And in this room, the floor is laid out around you, and you see the column. Like you can just kind of take your time, and you can kind of build. You build a scene. And also because if I don't have box text, I tend to like I tend to be really bad at describing pictures. So like my
Yeah.
mind is kind of all over the place when I'm trying to describe what's in a room. And I forget to use adjectives and colorful language and stuff like that. So I even write my own box text sometimes to
Yeah.
to remind myself to give like really really cool descriptions. Otherwise, I'll forget to.
Right. And I mean, how many times have you dealt with a column and a half worth of information about a particular room and missed a third of the information that you're supposed to have been putting,
Yeah.
in giving to your player? So I appreciate there's certain details that are I don't know if we're running off a tangent here, but it's
No,
just
it's
I like those little descriptive things, and to me it helps define whether I like how well written something is too. I
yeah.
appreciate that part of it. So from the writer part of me actually enjoys that because it's how many words did we learn from the Gygax days, bas relief and all that stuff, like what the my going back my Kentucky accent, what the hell's a bas relief, you know
uh I was my parents raised me on like on books like Orson Welles and stuff. So unfortunately, like I was adding the things like
nerd.
that. Yeah, I know. That's that was me. I was like I was adding those words. I still add like Lovecraft. I call them Lovecraft words when I can
Yeah.
because players don't know what they mean and they sound really cool.
Is that what I mean? Is that what he means?
It
I
says
don't know, man.
how many? I challenge every DM here. Find a way in your campaign to use the description squamous and batrachian. It means scaly and frog-like, but
Oh,
but you
sounds like
wouldn't know it.
it sounds like something you have before you might want to tell your date before you go out on a date.
No, it means that it's like, and if you're Wayne June, who's the narrator for Darkest Dungeon, squamous and batrachian, and it sounds very 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 weird and very kind of ethereal, but it doesn't really mean anything special. That's Lovecraft. I love that stuff. I'll do that stuff all day. Um.
Nice.
Uh. All right. Two North he wrote a big paragraph, so I wanted to read this. He says, I wanted to toss in that it's easy to forget sometimes that just the fact that I can watch this discussion right now is phenomenal, considering when I was in junior high school and high school 35 to 40 years ago, no communities like this existed, much less sort of the exchange of ideas about gaming. And yeah, we actually, and I guess where he was in the world, there was the kind of the gaming wasn't too well regarded in the press and stuff like that. And we talked a little bit about this, me and Aaron, before the stream, but like, yeah, things like this didn't really exist when I was growing up. Like, you went down to the hobby store to talk to people that were into the same thing, that would like you, but you know.
Right.
If outside of there, like, you didn't know who was into D&D. You couldn't just like walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, you know about D20s? You
Right.
cool? You cool?" Like,
Yeah, walking on the in high school, and you happen to this what you hear somebody talking about their campaign, and you're like, what? You turn right back around and you go, excuse me, but yeah, that's how it happened, and it's and then or you go into the comic book store, the game store, whatever, the hobby store, and you find the piece of paper with the scribbled, I would like to play or like to find other players for
Hmm.
Dungeons and Dragons, and there's like the cut up pieces of paper and someone's phone number.
Yeah.
You got to grab that piece of paper, and that's the way you did it back in
Yeah,
the day.
basically.
And then you call them up, and it was that social awkwardness, like, how old are you?
Yeah,
And
and
you know,
there's a thing I talk about on this show a lot because one of the most common questions I get people coming in the show, coming in to the talk show to talk about all kinds of stuff, and we get a lot of beginners, and they're always asking like, how do I find a group? How do I find a group that's into the, or I have a group, but they all like, munchkin type kick in the door min maxing gameplay, and I just want to role play this and that. And so what I say a lot is, certainly when I was a kid, before, this was back in the AOL days, before there was a real internet,
right,
there were no communities for role playing games. There was nothing like Roll20 where you could go in and like this group is playing this game, this setting, and
right,
they're all really like, they like role playing, but they don't care that much about combat or stats. Like, that's
right,
perfect for me. There was nothing like that. Like, when I was a kid, yeah, you went to the hobby store and you pulled like a little phone number off the thing, or you said like, "Hey, does anyone know anyone who's got a D&D campaign?" And then or you played with your friends, and it's like, who you got was who you got. You didn't
right,
you didn't have a choice. There was either you played with these people, or
right.
you didn't play. And now that's certainly not the case. Like, now you can pick and choose what you want to play and who you want to play with, and that's, I think that's for the better, really.
Yep.
That's for the best.
But the accessibility back then was, places like Gen Con. I mean, we take for granted that, back it was like Mecca. I mean, you could. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, all these. I mean, there's thousands of people there. They're just like me, and it's to that you have that now, but now you can find people
Yeah.
so much easier. And I know, and it sounds terrible when someone's just getting started, which is, I love it when people are starting, because now it's like, man, you guys have it. I mean, you can find the right people
Yeah.
right now, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the biggest contributions to why this community has like sort of exploded in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It's online, especially, is because, so back when we were kids and you played with your friends, there was like a 50-50 chance that you didn't like the game that you were playing, because it was like, you wanted to do this and they wanted to do that, conflicting
Mhm.
personalities, and this, there was a good chance that you were playing, but you kind of wish you were doing something different. But now, like, and so I think as a result, that was probably why when I was a kid, people weren't particularly welcoming. You kind of just had to muscle
Right.
your way into the local game store and like sit down at a table and be like, no one invited you in, essentially. You just kind of had to find your way. But now, everyone is so welcoming and stuff, because I think everyone's enjoying what they're playing and what they're doing a lot more, because it's so much easier to find exactly what you want to do.
Yep. And I was just touching on that. It's kind of a nice. I know a lot of people criticize Wizard of the Coast and maybe even other companies for bringing out different versions.
Mm.
However, fifth edition and the timing and the community and just that coming out seems to kind of, it's kind of, I don't know. It's the timing is really good. I mean, the fact that what we're talking about with everybody being able to do groups online
Yeah.
and meetups, and you have a new game in fifth edition. It seems like it's been around forever now, since we've been so involved
Yeah.
for so long. But it's just nice now that you don't have a massive amount of, for $100 you can be set up and playing D&D. Heck, you can get online right now and
Yeah.
download free documents now and just have enough to get started. You won't be pretty, but man, you can get started right now. This weekend, people
Yeah.
can start playing.
I really think that D&D 5th edition kind of it hit a lot of really important details for for the market, in the sense that, like, they made it a lot less crunchy. They made it a lot easier to get into. Before 5th edition, when it was called D&D Next and they were playtesting it, it's like, when I started on Roll20, you basically had D&D 4th edition or 3, and you had like 3.5 and Pathfinder.
Yeah.
And then 5e came out and it was it's easy and it's accessible and it's just kind of rocketing up the charts because again it's designed so anyone can dive in and it can be this sort of entryway. Because God forbid someone nowadays have to read a rule book like we did when we were kids, because that was how you did it when you wanted to learn a new game. They handed you a rule book and said, "Here, read."
Yeah, it was like here's get back to me
It's
next
the player's
week.
handbook, and here's the setting guide, and this is the this is the complete guide to paladins that you need to read, and like
Right. Yeah, now I mean literally you can roll up a character and be playing the same night and the dungeon master isn't overwhelmed. They can just say, "Okay, this is your character," and you can actually ask questions, or the players can ask questions. You can say, "Well, you're going to roll this die." I mean, it sounds crazy, but like we've been playing for so long, we know we know this stuff almost in our sleep.
Yeah.
And so we take for granted, at least I do sometimes, that there are so many new players, and it's awesome. I think it's kind of up to folks like us to kind of be a bridge for those guys,
Oh yeah, and that's, I think, like that's definitely one of the reasons I do a show, like this, and like the other ones, is because like I love answering questions that people come in asking, like what wanting to talk about D&D, and it's like I love helping those people find their way because that person might be the next awesome player in your group. You don't know.
Right. Exactly.
I wanted to go back. We had a lot of questions that I had skipped because we got kind of caught up after Two North's thing, and absolutely Two North, we all agree. Cranky Old Mage says, do any of the gods in your the gods in your book, are they designed to kind of give like clerics and paladins their own domains or features?
All of it, yeah. In fact, every single god, I probably didn't do a good enough job explaining that in one of the updates. But my wife, who's an excellent writer, by the way, she corrected me in the sense that yes, I want to make sure that everyone knows that whenever you see a new god or goddess, you're getting a new domain, you're getting new oaths. So for every new god that you're seeing, so at least 10 of them. What the next goal? I think the $16,000 mark will bring in 2 more, a male and a female god. So that means 2 more domains and 2 more oaths. So it's pretty awesome. I mean, if anybody's worried about content, we're hopefully solving that or answering that question, because again, it kind of circles back. We were players before we were doing this as the Concept Office Jetpack 7 crew. We want to do it right because I have to be able to explain to my game group, this is awesome content. We should play this. And I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want to disappoint myself. And I especially don't want to disappoint, 1,000+ people now. So
yeah.
It's, it's that good kind of pressure. I want to make sure that we're delivering.
Oh, yeah.
I think the expectations that we know, I think everybody knows that we're going to do good art. I mean, that's expected. I don't think where people might have been on the fence is what we were going to bring to the table.
Are these guys good? Like, I mean, because it's obviously you guys are a concept art studio. That's
right.
It's almost a given. But it's like, are these guys good rules designers? Are they they're going to provide us content that's worth using out if you take away the art, essentially.
Right. That's what it needs to stand on its own, and that's why I like opportunities like this to at least be able to explain that. And I think that whenever I look through this, I go, man, the art is great, but it actually is, it's out of balance now. The content is way better as far as I would compare it. I would say if you like the art, you're gonna love the content. I really believe that.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool, and Cranky agrees. He says that's really awesome. Firebringer says, to go off that question, are the oaths and domains non-specific enough to be ported to other deities, or are they kind of intrinsically linked?
Let's see. Well, they're each going to have their own. Sorry, the wind blew. I haven't tasted that. So I'm sorry. Could you? I want to make sure I
Okay,
answer the question
so
properly.
basically, what he's asking is, could you essentially take one of these oaths or domains that that are in this book, and could you use them with a different flavor? Like, do they work for other kind of deities?
Yeah, I think it probably could. And I, it is kind of there are going to be some unique aspects though. So I would make sure you're careful. I would say once you get the book, you'll see what I mean. I don't want to give too much away from the book too. So, but you'll see there's going to be some unique spells. There's going to be some unique abilities that the paladins are going to have and the clerics are going to have that might not jive with, let's say, something from one of the core rule books. So it might work if it's a similar god. Let's say another thunder god. Let's say Shango is like a thunder and lightning god. If you have another thunder and lightning god, it might jive pretty well with that. So that's what I would recommend. But when it comes down to like, why they wear a certain type of armor or things like that, you might have to kind of tweak it a little bit. But yeah, I don't see any. That's actually a good question. I didn't even think about the adaptability. So yeah, I think it could probably work, but just make sure that I would just make sure that the theme of each god or goddess would work properly, and then you'll probably be in good shape.
Awesome. Let me see if I missed anything here. That's that one. Oh yeah, we were talking before about just talking about games out in the world, and Rob he says that he had a conversation with guys in a movie theater. They were talking about Curse of Strahd behind him. I haven't had that happen. Actually, no, hold on. I did have the so I this is a story that I haven't told anyone yet, but so I started a new job about the same time I started this stream, and I kind of sort of I didn't really explain to one of the guys I worked with exactly what I do. I just about the stream thing. I just kind of told
Yeah.
him like I have a channel, and we do I do videos and stuff about D&D or whatever. It's just really nerdy stuff. Don't worry about it. And then like he comes to me. He told me, I think a week or so later, that he and his friend were starting a D&D game, and I thought he was just making a joke, like because we bust each other's balls a lot, so I thought he was like
You
making
messing with me? Right.
Yeah, I know. I thought he was making fun of me because I didn't know anything about the guy. Like we joked around about a lot of things, but I didn't know anything about him, and so just recently, it was the last time I was there with him. So it was like last week. He told me that he was telling me that he and his friends had like this really awesome board game night, and I'm like, what? And he's like, it turns out like the dude and his friends are like fucking board game geeks out the ass. Like they have a night that they get together and play fucking board games, and I'm like, I didn't know that. Like,
Yep.
when the fuck can I come over and play games? Like, what's up with this?
You insulted me by not inviting me. Right.
And so like but that was really interesting. Like I never really, like, I didn't know we don't really talk about it that much, but people, I think a lot of people, people underestimate how much the people around you will probably be interested in the nerdy shit that you get up to.
No doubt. I mean,
I think we just assumed they'd be like, no, that's kind of dumb, and go on with their lives.
not now. Not now. I'm surprised. It's weird, man. I mean, there was a weird transition, and it was almost like, I even hesitated working at a comic book store for a while, because I thought, man, I'm going to get ridiculed. But I was in a band. My general nature is I've never really given a crap what people thought. So I've been kind of being able to endure that. And I think most people that play Dungeons and Dragons, especially people my age, they have this thick skin. Anyway, they just let things like that go over their head. But yeah, I mean, now it's like it's almost like a badge of honor. I mean, now it's like, yeah, hell yeah, I roll dice, I get together with my friends, and I have a whole bunch of collectible shit. And if you don't like it, then you can go fuck off. I mean, it's pretty much, I don't know, I love it because I didn't realize how true that was. I was at San Diego Con or Comic Con back in 2004, and that was enlightening because you're seeing, a football field, three football fields worth of just pop culture stuff.
Oh yeah.
At that point, I was just like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people that love this stuff, and I'm so thankful. But at the same time, from our vantage point, it's a huge amount of pressure. I mean, I'm some guy in just south of Cincinnati in northern Kentucky, and we're producing stuff that millions of people are going to see, and sometimes it's kind of like it's the equivalent of looking over the cliff.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy moly, there's a lot of people that like this stuff. And if we mess up, I'm going to hear it.
Oh yeah.
We will hear it.
Trust me, I understand that, but I haven't been lucky enough to get out to San Diego. By the way, I really want to get out to San Diego Comic Con. I grew up going to New York City Comic Con, so I think I always sort of took it for granted. Just how like I knew there were nerds in the city. I just like didn't really know that many in my town. But
you got to go once. I mean, you got to go at least once. I mean, a lot.
Oh yeah.
Because it's ridiculous. It's elbow to elbow the whole time, and if you've never been to a New York City, like a New York City or San Diego Comic Con, and you have the ability, I suggest getting to either one. And if you're at New York City, come say hi to me, because that's where I am every year. But yeah, no, it's awesome. Especially they don't do it anymore. But I used to, back when New York City used to do it, Wizards used to come out there and run D&D stuff, and me and my friends, like I had friends that I'd only see like once a year, and we'd sit down and play a session of D&D together at the convention because that was just a tradition that we had. I don't know why. That's cool.
But they don't do it anymore, and that really disappoints me because I know people there, and I wanna see the people from Wizards, and I wanna I wish they were pushing more D&D stuff at this convention, which is why but I actually am going up to PAX East next month. It's gonna be all D&D there, and then I'm actually Kobold Press is actually sending me out to Gen Con, so it's my first time going, so.
Oh, 50th anniversary, no big deal.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I'm, just gonna be in like the biggest gaming convention ever. Whatever, it's all right. It's nothing. I just gotta run some D&D for people. It's all good.
Yeah, it's weird, man. You see the murmur. I mean, you go into these halls, and it's just card games, role playing game. I mean, it's massive. I don't know. It's awesome. I think it's freaking awesome.
Especially it's really interesting for me, especially because we talked a little bit about this before, but it's like I've been doing the show for a little while now, and I've had the chance to meet so many cool people, so many names in the industry, people who are contributing to the culture and making, people who you look at and you say like, man, that person's really cool. And then, it's like you get a chance to kind of go and actually talk to these people and have a drink and and pick their brains about about stuff, and that's the coolest thing to me. Like that's why I love conventions. Like I don't know if you've ever done this. Every time I went to New York City Comic Con, like it always blew my mind that I got to sit down and like spend time talking to like artists that I was reading their books. Like I grew up reading this guy's book, and now I'm just sitting here talking to him, and that's every time it's like, man, is this like is that real?
Yeah. I mean, back you remind me of when I was getting into comic books. Myself, a guy named Josh, Scott, we all got invited to Chaos Comics party in the hotel room, and we sat there for 3 or 4 hours. And Brian Pulido was the publisher, and he's still. I mean, I think it's Coffin Comics. I don't know what the version of it now is. But Lady Death was a big deal back in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. And we were just sitting there, sponges, getting drunk with Brian Pulido, learning about the comic book industry, these these kids. And it's just, that's freaking awesome. I mean, and now, in a roundabout way, anytime that I've got the attention of somebody that, oh my gosh, they're hanging on every word I'm saying, and I don't realize it, that it's weird how you kind of pass along and you're able to pass along this information that you were able to learn from somebody else. It's so cool. I mean, it's and you get that in the comic book industry, you get that in the gaming industry. There is a lot of competition.
Oh yeah.
There are some jerks. There's no doubt about it. But man, when you meet the people that at their core they're just passionate about what they want to do, and how, I mean, nothing will stop them.
Yeah.
You meet those people, and it's just such a. I mean, it's surreal. It's surreal.
Yeah, it's a very similar thing that happened to me at New York. I have a friend who ran a comic book fairly large comic book podcast. So he basically get us press passes. So we would just go around and like we'd have an excuse to talk to people because we'd be like, hey, can I do a little bit of an interview with you? And we just go around and talk to all kinds of people. And then this was the first year that happened, and he was like, hey man, me and a bunch of people are all going out for drinks and stuff. Do you want to come? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I didn't know anyone, and I'm like, I get in this group and I'm like, so who's all here? He's like, well, you know, these people are from this, I forget which studio, it was some studio in New York. These people there, that's Pendleton Ward. And I'm like, what? He's the guy who created Adventure Time. So, right. And that was right when the show was starting. And I'm like, oh, it's cool. I'm just gonna have dinner with that guy. You know, whatever. It's not a big deal. No, man, it's ridiculous, and the gaming community is so cool. Like all the people, everyone is so excited to talk about their craft and to share their information. Actually, I wanted to share this on stream because Rob James Morgan, he says he talked about going to Gen Con. If you guys want if you want to go to Gen Con and a ticket is too much money or something, I can't speak for travel and I can't speak for accommodations because those are hard to get. But if you do want to get to Gen Con, you should definitely look. A lot of role-playing games publishers, Kobold Press is sending me to run an event for them, but Green Ronin, who I'm trying to remember all these Wright Publishing, the people who do Burning Wheel, I think. I don't remember all the publisher names, but all these sort of publishers that are slightly smaller than like Wizards and Paizo, and I think even Paizo may have, but they're probably full. They almost all have programs where if you're willing, Monty Cook Games does too. If you're willing to DM for them, like at their tables, run games for them, they'll buy you a ticket. So
that's a good deal.
Yeah, it really is. So if you DM, I think you got to DM like 4 games usually. Just like 1 game a day, and then you just spend the rest of the the rest of the time at the convention. And again, I can't speak for travel and accommodations. Those usually, are hard to get. But if you definitely want to get out to a convention like Gen Con or something like that, you should definitely get in contact because those people, I'm sure they'd love to send you if because it benefits everyone really. And they
figure out a way to get there. That's all I can say. It's like, somebody, start planning. If you guys got to stick 4 people in a room, I know don't do a fire hazard thing, but just start jumping. Start going from couch to couch. You can just at least get up there for a day or two, spend the night. It's well worth it. Especially even just to be able to play the games. But if you're even remotely interested in getting in the industry, you got to get up. It's just that you have to find a way to get there.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I don't know. I can't wait. There's gonna be so many people that I told that we're gonna have drinks together. So I made a lot of promises, which means a lot of drinks. I think my friends I know people that are running panels there. It's gonna be a really cool. I can't wait. Oh man. So once again, if you guys know Rob, I don't know about those publishers in particular. You'd have to look. But definitely go ask him. Once again, we have a little bit of time left, so if you guys are still hanging out with us, go ahead and drop some questions in chat. I'm gonna check. We've got, it looks like about 30 minutes left on our giveaway. So as soon as we're gonna be on when that runs out, I'm gonna be here. So if you guys have anything else you want to talk about, definitely drop some questions in. I guess Aaron, is there anything you think about, like anything specific about your Kickstarter, your project that you're working on, that you think that we haven't really touched on, or that you want to delve into a little bit?
Let's see. I think we covered it pretty well. That you guys are going to get good art. We're known for our art, but what we're also trying to do is establish Jetpack 7 as a name, for the whole entire package. So we were gamers before. We have a ton of experience. My wife Sarah is an excellent writer. We've looped in Jim Pinto. We've got Ben McFarlane doing
Oh,
the.
Ben's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, okay, great. He's actually going to be doing. We're actually doing a Pathfinder conversion of the book. So it'll be anyone that gets $15 or more on the campaign. Actually, gets a book or more higher. Will get a PDF converted version for Pathfinder. So we thought that was a cool little addition. So, and he's actually going to also help us edit and make sure that everything he's well rounded, well versed when it comes to that. So
he's an awesome guy. He was actually he was like one of the first guests that I had on the show a long time ago.
Okay, cool.
When he was talking about Southlands for Kobold, and we've been friends ever since. He's a really good guy.
Awesome. No, I mean, I know he's been working a lot with Andreas Walters, who did the Baby Bestiary. I don't know if you've been able to check that out, but
I know of it. I don't have a copy of it. Yeah,
you got to get it. The moral dilemma of just
absolutely. Especially when you have the art to show.
Right. Exactly. It's like you see this cute baby owlbear. What do you do? And they do this recently.
I'll tell you what every group is going to do is they're going to take it and they're going to raise it.
They're probably going to.
That's the only. I can't imagine any other situation that book would set up is other than the fact that now your party has a baby monster that belongs to them.
It's one hell of a mount. It's going to be an awesome mount. Imagine strolling through the city on an owlbear. But no, that's we now have we've tasted with the success of Dungeons and Dragons. Obviously, we now know the innies. The Baby Bestiary won some innies. Obviously, some of the 5th edition stuff won some innies. So we were looking around like, geez, it would be really cool to be able to do our own stuff. And we have no expectations of winning an innie, but now we want, we want to throw it out there. We want to build, like you were saying earlier, we want to do the best product that we can. We can't just throw it out there and, oh, what do you think of this? And just have it be completely just half-assed. We don't want to do that. So I guess the emphasis that we're trying to get out there is that we want this to be something that people want to, you want to throw $30 at it, you're going to get your money's worth. And that's the goal. That's really the emphasis that I want to kind of put out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really interesting because a lot of people, a bunch of people in chat are asking, if you have any hints about what you guys may work on next, if you have that planned, or if you haven't really, you're just kind of waiting for this to finish up, and then you'll kind of sit down.
Yeah, well, right now it's kind of coming down to we have until about late April, mid to late April to get the book made and ready for print. So that's obviously going to be our focus, after the Kickstarter is done. So we'll have a solid month and a half, 2 months to get it looking really pretty and really streamlined. We'll play test it to death and we'll break it, make sure everything works really well. So when everybody gets it in their hands, it'll look good. But after that, we got a few things up our sleeves, but we want to ask ourselves, we're asking ourselves, where are the opportunities? Where are the holes? Where are the gaps that would be cool to see? We're looking at it from every angle now. We might even do something completely different, card-based game. Who knows? But either way, because a couple weeks ago, we thought we might have to do something completely different. We didn't know how well this game was going to be supported or the supplement was going to be supported. And now that, okay, it's good. It's good to go. We're ready to roll. So now the market has spoken, and I think once we deliver, I think we'll slowly build our reputation. We want to be up there with the other publishers. We want to be up there with the Kobolds. We want to be up there with the Green Runners. We want to be up there. We've got a long way to go to be up there with Wizards of the Coast and whatnot, but yeah, we want to be in that discussion. So that's our goal. We don't want to just kind of come and go like a whole bunch of other publishers. So that's the plan. So yeah, we got some stuff up our sleeves, but without being too coy, it's just, yeah. either another gods and goddesses, maybe something different. Maybe we don't want to flood the market too much with the same idea. So maybe we'll kind of shift our focus onto something else, maybe another type of book, but not necessarily gods. And maybe after that book is done, we'll come back to the gods. You know what I mean? It's
I the thing that you are welcome to take this as a suggestion or just me complaining, but the one thing
Sure.
that annoys me about fifth edition as a system is like I think the thing that I love about Pathfinder as a system, as mechanically broken and weird as it is and bloated as it is I love the options for
Yeah.
classes and archetype combinations to make,
Yep.
even if they don't mechanically work, to make really interesting and flavorful character
Yep.
ideas. And my problem is I feel like fifth edition lacks a lot of that because they have the very very limited base classes and not a lot of domains and archetypes and stuff like that. So if there's any niche that I think needs filling, it's more classes and more subtypes for existing classes.
No, you're right. I think that's the good and bad thing about fifth edition is that it's so streamlined and so but man, it would be so easy to plug something in and not make it any you know I love the fact that it's so streamlined and that if you add something to it, it doesn't get too bloated. I mean, and there's nothing against Pathfinder.
Yeah.
It's just I've heard that argument a lot with Pathfinder. It's like, geez, well, okay, what are
Yeah.
you guys putting out this month?
No,
And
it's that you're right.
kind
Is
of a
that
running joke almost.
is the sense that I definitely I don't pretend, like, I'm not pretending that Pathfinder doesn't have a problem, but I
Yeah.
basically as a player I really like. I was talking with a friend of mine about this, and there's actually, that reminds me, there's something I want to bring up a little bit after this, but I was talking with a friend of mine. We were having a long conversation about what we felt like some shortcomings of fifth edition were, and I think one of the things that we both agreed on was the fact that fifth edition as a whole, while it is very streamlined and very easy to use, I think the fact that a lot of its rules or a lot of its kind of customization in in creating exactly what you want comes down to, we'll just kind of just make it up or just use these rules but pretend it's that way, which I like having a lot of options. I like looking down a list and seeing, like, okay, this is rogue, there's 50 different types of rogues. Like,
Yep.
one is a big thug that just beats people and takes their money, whereas one of them is just is a trap smith, and one of them is a charlatan, and whatever. I like that because to me that gets my thoughts going. But without that, I tend to just be like blank paper.
Right.
But it's hard. It is hard to kind of find something that you can tack on to fifth edition and keep it feeling as streamlined and simple as it is.
I tend to default to more of a discipline. Like I don't want to tinker too much with the fifth edition stuff. So my role in this whole process is, put my editor cap on occasionally. Is that my wife she's very much like you in that when she writes something, she's looking at it like, where can I take this and what not necessarily the boundaries I can, but or break the rules here and not min-max. I hate that word because it's just I like to be able to have different. I don't want to just stick to what's in the book, and
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. And so I would. She has this role of being like, well, what about this? What about this?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
It's like, what if I want to be a rogue that does something different?
Yeah, no. Let's see what we can do. Well, is this balanced enough for fifth edition? So that's where I feel like I need to step in and go, well, that's awesome, but let's see if it works in the context of the current game. We don't want to do Pathfinder 2.0, so to speak, but no, I understand the appeal to being able to have a very specific type of path to be able to go down and take your character and be able to run a character that's not so I'm just going to be a fighter, a barbarian, wizard, sorcerer. There should be options, and I think I think if I don't want to speak for Wizards of the Coast, but I think they want that with the open gaming license.
Yeah.
They definitely want people to make products that work for that.
Yeah, and I guess there's lots of stuff. I've used DM's Guild kind of class variations here and there. It's just for example, I use I don't know if you know about it. I use Hero Lab when I'm doing my Pathfinder games, and I have like literally all the Pathfinder books loaded in Hero Lab. So it's like you click Rogue, there's every archetype for Rogue all in one place, and you don't have to like scroll through the DM's Guild and be like, is this one good? Is this one good? Does this one come with it what I want? And like because I think that the problem that a lot of people have with the DM's Guild is you just don't know. You don't know what's in the document until you've downloaded it or bought it or whatever. Maybe you have a review, but you don't exactly know. So again, it's interesting, but that's sort of where I am on the whole. But that was just maybe like, okay, well, if I would make a next supplement, it would definitely be like a class supplement. It would be something, taking classes in different directions. Like, this is normal rogue, this is, I don't know, some other type of rogue who's not the same thing. Just because
saw a discussion, you kind of remind me there was a discussion the other day. I forget what program it might have been. You might know off the top of your head, but it was, what was Conan the Barbarian? Like, he wasn't a barbarian. I mean, if you really get down to what it was, that he was more thief than barbarian. So it does beg the question of, what kind of character would he have been in Dungeons and Dragons? It's difficult. It's difficult to define. What would he have had?
Wait, which Conan are you talking about? The movie Conan or the book Conan?
Yeah,
the movie? Oh, okay, because I was like, there's a book Conan, there's comic books, there's a lot of Conan.
There's another example. So you have to watch it. See, it's like, well, someone's vision, like the comic book Conan, is going to be, he's more Tarzan size,
It's sort of like asking, like, what class is Solomon Kane? Like, well, which one are you talking about? There's a lot of versions of Solomon Kane, and none of them are the same. So yeah, it's but yeah, that's interesting. Like, in the sense that you have a character who is, I like the idea of classes that don't fit the standard archetype. I like the idea of like a bard who maybe he's a bard who doesn't sing, but maybe maybe he does something else. I don't know. Maybe he's an actor. Maybe he's a bard he doesn't sing, he doesn't act, he doesn't inspire people, but what he does is collect lore and knowledge. Maybe I don't know, like, there's a million archetypes in Pathfinder for every class, and that's, even if I'm never going to use one of them, like, if I don't want to use them or that class, I get so much inspiration just scrolling down that list and seeing, like, Vivisectionist, what is that? That sounds really cool. Like, I can make a character like that. I may not use this exact stat, modification, but I could still, use the idea.
We did, to be honest, we did kind of do that with Gods and Goddesses. We touched on that quite a bit, where the cliche of the clerics and the paladins that it's, I know they didn't try to, but it does. There are some archetypes that are in the core books that they can't get away from, or it's not their version of Dungeons and Dragons. So I get it. But with us, when we were establishing our clerics and our paladins under the umbrella of these certain gods and goddesses, we did do some variations that I think people are going to be kind of into. We did have on the Kickstarter, we actually have a Fuji download, and I would actually recommend people actually checking that out, because they're going to be able to see a breakdown and see, oh, it's not just your typical cleric. It's actually, oh, there's some monk stuff in there. Cool. So I think they're going to be, and that kind of touches on what you were talking about. But yeah, we could definitely see doing for that.
But that's exactly what I love is, like, for example, when you have if you, it's I think the way I tend to think about it is like, did you ever play, well, if you play a video game, like, how they use the same model for the guard at every different city, and you just change the tabard, but it's the same dude. That's how I feel like sometimes you can get when you're talking about clerics and paladins and other things like that. But it's like, which is why I really like the idea that in Pathfinder, when they were doing when they were talking in their setting guides about different gods, is they went out of their way to say, like, no, these clerics are all about this. Like, I don't want to talk specifically, you give huge specifics, but for example, like, there's one god, I'm trying to remember her name, which I can't right now, but she's the god of I guess prostitutes and also revenge. And so like her temples are brothels, but you can also hire all of the priestesses there to go out and assassinate someone for you. And that's a really different take on a cleric. So like a player can easily play a cleric, have all the same abilities as a cleric, but their flavor is just so different.
Yep.
And that's the stuff that I really really dig.
Yeah, I mean it's pushing, it's different from some of the stuff I grew up with was very kind of there was a little bit. I mean, especially in some of the art, there was a little bit of that. Oh, you're kind of touching on a little bit of sexuality. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
ooh, 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 But yeah, I mean, we're all adults. We can kind of test that a little bit without being like
I,
super cheesy about it.
I think those things in general also add a little bit of a verisimilitude to the world. Because it makes sense that like if there's a god of everything except like that one taboo subject, that kind of doesn't really make much sense. But it's like, it absolutely makes sense in if you could find a way to make it make sense in the world and not be weird,
Right.
or anything like that. It's just a really I think stuff like that's really cool. I don't know, that gets me
Yeah.
going.
We kind of did that a little bit. There might be something on that similar level with Ishtar in the book, but maybe I'm just throwing it out there as a teaser.
No, what I actually wanted to, well, actually, I don't know if it'd be 100%, 100% appropriate for this discussion, but I had, the friend that I was talking about, this is very, very off topic, but the friend I was
Yeah.
talking about D&D with, one of the things we came up with is we were both really, really interested in an idea of, working with a system that wasn't, that didn't basically D&D from its inception has never really done mechanical progression in a particularly interesting way. It's like you kill stuff to level up,
Right.
and you level up by killing X number by X number of fights essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and then that gives you more power, more powerful abilities. But we were talking a little bit about it and what would make an interesting sort of digression from the system. And I think my friend Eric came up with this really really cool idea that I actually kicked it back to my home group, and they loved the shit out of it. He came up with this really interesting idea that of working in a system or creating or redoing the system such that character progression only comes like he started from the point of inspiration, which if you know in D&D is DMs can give it out and other players can give it out, and it's like a bonus when you do something cool or you're inspired by another player.
Yeah.
But he said, well, what if inspiration instead of that was a resource that you had per session, you
Yeah.
could do something really cool by spending this resource. So like once per session you could have like an extra roll or a bonus to your thing. And then we were talking about that, and he said like, well, but what if the point of the game wasn't to fight things? You could still fight things and cool moments happen when you fight things and you get treasure from fighting things, but what if the point of progressing was having cool moments?
Yeah.
And so essentially, like, what if your leveling was tied to how many cool moments you had?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I like that.
in order to achieve a next level, you had to have X number of inspiration moments.
Yeah.
And then the way I described it was like, so character growth actually required character growth.
Right. It could be a mix. I mean, why not? If you have a fighter, you do kind of have a role.
Yeah.
There is, but if you're more of a thinker, if you're a bard, or just something that's not necessarily you're designed to be a born killer. As I mean, you might be, but if your role is generally more, mind, wizards aren't going to get in the fray that often. At least into physical combat, for example. I don't want to speak for anybody's character, but yeah, I think you can have. We have little gold coins. If you do something awesome, then you
Yeah.
get a gold coin. It's kind of like a doggy doggy treat.
Yeah. But
But you can do that. I like that.
yeah,
We personally do milestones. So if you reach a certain point, if you make it to a certain point, either by not killing things or solving puzzles,
yeah.
or doing things like actually running the game instead of just hacking your way through it. Milestones seem to work similarly to us, at least.
Well, the reason it resonated with me is because Firebringer, he's talking about his how he does XP in his game. I don't use experience points. I haven't used them in a long time, mostly because as a DM and as a storyteller, I take a long time to tell my stories at the table.
Yeah.
They tend to be long and winding and have a lot of setup and a lot of build up and hopefully a lot of buy-in from the players. They have exposure to these things, and so a plot may take a long time to develop and have a payoff that has been built up for a while. And so, because of that, if I were using experience points, if I were to give out experience points, for example, every time they fought a monster as the game is designed, what that's basically doing is that basically puts me on a time limit, because I can only have X number of fights before they get too powerful, and then the story has to progress with them because they're now too powerful for the thing that we're doing. So I don't do that. We just play the game, and we don't talk about XP. We just play the game, the story, and they will level up when when I feel like they've done enough stuff and when it makes sense in the story. But I'm really, really a fan of the fact that, like, for example, say in order to get from level 3 to level 4, you had to collect 2 really poignant character moments, and that means like 2 role play moments or 2 story moments that really, really have an impact or shape the way what your character thinks or does or basically has a lasting effect on you, on who your character is. And if because I think because those are, we have those in games, those will hopefully naturally come from gameplay, but I think the idea, I think, like, the goal should be, we should be seeking to encourage players to look for and to find those rather than just find their next fight sometimes.
Right. Now, here's the question I have for you. Now, are you, as a DM, are you supplying that moment, or are you kind of, here are some breadcrumbs,
Yeah.
and or like, oh my gosh, hey, cool, man. You're just, by all means, do your thing, man.
I think a little of both, because I mean, obviously, as the DM, my job is to provide vignettes, scenes where the characters can be heroes, where they can where they can accomplish cool things, where they can feel like they have overcome challenge and they've done something really cool. And again, we just naturally do that. Like, I'm gonna naturally write scenes that expand characters' backstories and have them sort of get closure with NPCs or relationships or this and that. Like, those are just, hopefully, as a DM, those are naturally going to happen. You're going to write those into your plot, and I am going to try and, I do as a DM try and write those in and kind of guide the players towards those sometimes. But if they're also tied to their leveling, then I would hope that means that the players themselves will also seek those moments out. The ones that I hadn't written, they will find a way to kind of make their opportunity to be a hero, or to have this kind of really poignant moment, because that's become the goal of the game.
True. And the challenge is that there's some, like, just type A personality type that are like, I'm going to do all this stuff because I know I feel your vibe, man. I'm going to advance this. But then you have the observer type, the observer players that are just kind of like, oh, that's really cool. They're really into it. But the challenge is it kind of helps them come out of their shell, so to speak, and do stuff and not just kind of hang out and roll dice.
Yeah.
If that's it does. There's one extra level that you're providing them. It sounds like it, and they're not just there. They're just listening.
Well, so here's something. Firebringer is talking about this. He says, I'm a well, I'll read what he said before. He said, I never give XP for killing monsters, but for quests, combat, and social interaction. So I guess, for having a scene, not necessarily what you do in that scene. Like, not like the individual monster, but surviving a fight might experience, which is fine. I get that. And he says, I'm a fan of experience simply because the math has always been part of the game experience for me.
It has.
Which I agree for some people. I used to try and keep track of experience, and I just I had a document. It was a document of, okay, Goblin experience, 50 experience, goblin, like
Right.
everything they killed, and it just got so long, and I'm like, oh, I had to total it up, and I'm like, I just don't want to do this because I'm not calculating it per person. I couldn't do that if I tried, because some people aren't going to be there every time. So,
Right.
it's just too much math, and also. This is, I guess you're hearing this for the first time, but I'm a big fan of taking meta information away from my players, so they just have to focus. They just have their character to focus on. So when I was giving out XP, like some people at the end of the session, they say, okay, you get you get this many XP, you get this many XP, you over here get this many XP, and that's what they do with their players. But I never really did that. We never talked about it at all. Because I just didn't want my players thinking about, like, oh, are we really close to leveling up? We should go kill some goblins because we could just level up. Like,
Right.
I never want my players thinking like that because I think that kind of takes them out of the story a little bit.
It does. It does. Now they're focused on something else instead of really in the enrichment part of it. Yeah.
But he says I find the kind of reaching a point in the story to gain a level style very dull because it doesn't reward players individually when they go above and beyond everyone as everyone's leveling equally. And that was what I wanted to touch on was do you guys obviously you, Aaron, and do you guys in chat, like, do you think that players should level separately from each other? Like, do you think that is that does that create a good or a bad dynamic in the game?
I guess I'll go. You want me to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free.
I feel that it doesn't really hurt if you have a lopsided. If let's say one person is just like, let's say they get a deck of many things or something, and suddenly they're a level ahead of everyone else. I don't think that really messes with things too much.
Yeah.
But when you have one or two players that are constantly left behind, that might be it might be a drag, So
yeah.
I don't know. Give them the opportunity to catch up in some way, side adventures, Well, I don't know. That's just me. I kind of like everybody on the same level, but I don't want to force it.
That's what I wanted to touch on, mostly because you were talking about, like, some players like to sit in the back and not necessarily be as outgoing. That's just who they are, and it's not necessarily right to kind of punish them for the kind of player they are. But is it? I don't know. I've never really had a game where the leveling mechanic allowed players to kind of outpace each other.
Right. Right.
And mostly because I don't know, like, part of me doesn't think that it's productive to, like, if a player couldn't make a session because something was going on, like, part of me doesn't think it's doesn't really think that it adds anything to the game to punish them for that.
Well, also you kind of create an environment, in my opinion, that now, back when I was a teenager and maybe in my early 20s, there might have been a little bit of a competitiveness.
Yeah.
Just the default competitive nature that, well, I just leveled up faster than you, and I don't know. That just changes how everyone's playing. Everybody's just looking for something to kill in order to get one up or be faster or get something. It's just a matter of just get stuff and get better. And I can see that there's an appeal to that, but it's shallow to me now that I'm in my 40s. I'd rather just sit and have fun with my friends, and then we all kind of all accomplish things on the same level.
So the thing is, like, as a player, I very rarely care about, like, getting stronger as a character, like my character rolling higher numbers, because to the point where in a lot of games I never even look at my sheet really, like, or I don't even have one these days. Like, I just kind of like, okay, he hits things on this, and he does magic on this, and it's like I don't really pay too much attention to my sheet, because I'm much more interested in having really cool story moments, in having, like, I'm much more interested in having working through a character arc, in going from one place to another, rather than killing this many things or getting this many points to level up to get to the next one, because that, I don't think, I can fill out I can erase the number and put a new number in my sheet, and I feel like that's a temporary, change. It lasts very infrequently. Like, I don't, because once, like, I roll that die and it's like, okay, now it's 2 higher than it was last level. That's cool for the first roll, but if the second and third, it wears off. But it's like, but if my character, I don't know, like, he finds out, about his destiny, or he meets his parents that he's been hunting for, or he gets revenge on the person who made him an orphan. Like, that is a thing that sticks with you a little bit longer, and that's a thing
Right.
that kind of like, I don't know. I'm more, the game is more interesting because of those elements for me personally.
Yeah.
I used to be a numbers role player. Like I used to be all about character building and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it just got less and less important as I got more and more immersed in role playing, I think.
Yeah, that there's definitely that. I think for us, at least our group, I don't want to speak for everyone. I'm more of a hey man, you guys go ahead and pick your characters first, and I'll pick my character last just to see because I'm cool with anything. I'm Mr. Flexible.
Mhm.
But we have a pretty good balance. We like to there's some sessions that are very story centric, and then the next one is just like, holy moly, we've been rolling dice all night, and so getting a magic item, getting being able to fight a particular monster that is legendary, that's fun, and I think that's we do a lot of it's very balanced. So we try not to, one session might just be us just messing around, buying, at a bar, and the tavern. We might spend 3 hours at a tavern because it's more fun doing that
Yeah.
than going out and killing a bunch of orcs. So it's whatever goes, and that's I think with any particular group, at least for the people just starting out, whatever's going on, it's totally cool. If there's a lot of story going on, man, that's cool. You're learning a lot about your character. You're learning about other characters, and then when the fight breaks out, it means something. When you get something, it means something. There's some tangent. There's something tangible behind the whole. I don't know. I love a good balance. That's
Yeah.
just where I'm coming from.
I getcha. No, definitely some interesting ideas, and I just wanted to bring that up because it was a concept that had been kicking around my head, and I hadn't had time to sit down and write ideas for it or kind of mull it over, but it was a really cool thing I wanted to think about. Okay,
I like it.
I just announced on Twitter, by the way, we have 4 more minutes left on our giveaway, so that's coming up that's going to be ending in just 4 minutes. So go ahead and retweet that. Let me, if you haven't already, hit the retweet link or check Twitter, and you will see that new tweet. It's up there. We're going to be announcing the winner of our. Let me go grab it. Actually, it is going to be this here. Player's Handbook, you can see, is right here. It is brand new. It is shiny. It is fantastic. And this set of dice, I don't know what color this set of dice is. I bought like bulk set of dice. I'm gonna look at it, but you guys, ooh, that's nice. That's a nice set of dice. So this is what we are going to be giving away right here. It's this shiny. This hasn't even the spine hasn't even been cracked. This is brand new.
Nice.
And a set of dice. This is everything you guys need to get started in D&D 5th edition. If you're a new player, or if you're just you just want your own book and you don't want to share anymore because everyone asks, "Hey, can I see your book, man?" So.
Nope.
This is all you need. It's cool, it's new, and in just 3 minutes we're going to be giving away that. Obviously, if you haven't entered, you got a minute or two to enter. But definitely go check Twitter. Make sure we're shouting out about that. Holy shit, Rob with the retweets. Thank you. And I am gonna. I had something I want to say, but I don't really. It doesn't seem right. So, I guess while we're waiting for that to go, I think we're probably, it's coming up on 10 o'clock, so we're probably gonna bring the show to a close. Before we announce our winner, I want to say a big thank you to Aaron Hubrich for hanging out with me, man. I hope you had a good time. I hope you guys in chat had a good time too. But thank you, man, for coming out. Thank you for hanging and talking about game stuff with me.
Definitely, man. I really appreciate it. And once again, I wanted to thank everyone who backed the Kickstarter campaign for Gods and Goddesses. We really appreciate it. We did it because of you all. So thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you very much.
We're actually we're gonna be kind of talking just really quickly about that in just a second. We're gonna drop a link in chat so everyone can check it out if they haven't already. But if you are doing it right now, let me grab the link here. Copy link. Go ahead. This is the tweet. Right. Nope, that's the Kickstarter.
Well, thanks, man.
That's all right. That is the link right there. So go ahead and hit that link. Just tell everyone that we are announcing the winner here in just a second.
You got any drum roll sounds you can do?
I can.
Game
Is that?
show
I don't know if
host?
that's coming up on my being picked up on my mic. 81. Hold on, we have 80 seconds left. So definitely retweet that link. Let everyone know that we're giving it away. It's gonna be awesome. Yes, they are 100% funded, which means I think everything else is going to stretch goals, and they've got something like what 70 hours left, 30 hours.
Yeah, Friday morning, 11 a.m. Friday morning Eastern Standard Time. So, yeah, get that stretch goal to 16,000, and that'll bring about more gods and goddesses. We'll get 2 more,
Awesome.
which means 2 more domains and 2 more oaths. So, yeah, let's make it happen.
All right, all right. We're turning up the music because we want this to be intense. So let's go ahead and check this. Where is it now? 30 seconds. Okay, that's fine. But while we're waiting for that, if you guys haven't already, absolutely go check these guys out on Twitter. It's just at Contentopoulos. Of course, you can check out all the stuff about the show. Dice Thulu has the information for you. And he's been telling you all night about all the other shows. I wanted to thank you guys. By the way, I don't know if I thank you properly, but I wanted to thank everyone for making last night's Map Monday ridiculous. We had like a maximum of like 30 people coming out to watch me make D&D maps in Photoshop, and I have no idea why. But seriously, you guys are the best, and this community is amazing. The Exploding Dice community in general is awesome. So I love you guys, and as long as you guys keep wanting it, we will keep providing that kind of content for you. Oh my God, the email is coming up. Gleam competition has ended. It has ended. It has ended. So here's what we're gonna do. We are going to go to our competitions page, right? Finished competitions right here. Yes, yes. I'm gonna click this, and we're gonna find our winner. So in chat, let's get some hype. Let's get some Exploding Dice hype. Let's get some, I don't know, Edie love, whatever you guys want to do. Get that hype going. And let me draw the winner here. Drum roll. The winner out of 938 entries. There's one prize. There can be only one. And that is 100%.
Woohoo!
And the winner is Emil Andre Naas from Norway, who won by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Congratulations, Emil. Congratulations, man. Absolutely. Don't know if you're in chat. Probably not, because Norway is in the midst, like, early in the morning over there, but congratulations, my friend. We will get you contacted right away, and we will get that shipped out. Man, I'm gonna have to ship this to Norway. That is gonna be fun. That's all right. All right. I gotta check his other entries. Oh, it looks like I don't know if he entered on Twitter. Let me check right here. Oh, he did. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go send a message to him that he won. Rigged. Yes. Now you know the conspiracy. Emil was going to win this whole time. Damn it! Norway wins everything. But that's it. Thank you guys for all your entries. And here's the thing. Don't get all freaked out that you didn't win, because I'm gonna show you something. Sneak peek exclusive right now.
Oh man.
The next thing the next giveaway, Friday, February may be over. And our monthly giveaway for February may be over, but we're only going to do more, and we're going to do bigger stuff in March. We're going to do more stuff, we're going to do cooler stuff, so you have a chance to win more than just a player's handbook. This time, in March, we're going to be giving away not just a Dungeon Master's Guide, but also a copy of Curse of Strahd. Nice. So we're gonna be throwing in. You've got 2 books this time, along with dice, probably some other goodies donated by my friends from various companies. We're gonna be putting together everything you need to get started as a DM. It's going to be an entire DM's kit, and it's going to be awesome. So obviously keep your eyes peeled. That tweet is probably going to be going up tomorrow once we once we get everything sorted. But for now, congratulations, Emil. We're gonna get all that sent away. But that's enough about the contest. Once again, big thanks to Aaron for hanging out with me. Again, I hope you had a good time, man. Before we get out of here, do you want to tell everyone real quick once again a little bit about who you are, where they can kind of find you online, and what they can expect to see when they get there?
Sure thing. Yeah. Once again, we have our Gods and Goddesses 5th edition supplement active on Kickstarter right now. So we really appreciate everyone's support on that. We've got until Friday morning Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. So just definitely keep an eye out. If we get to 16,000, we're going to open up that first stretch goal. So definitely keep pledging. We really appreciate it. You can actually find us on conceptopolis.com. That's our main website. We also have jetpack7.com, which relinks back to the Kickstarter page. But after the Kickstarter ends, Jetpack 7 will be the main site where we can keep adding to the pre-orders. So even after the Kickstarter, you'll still have an opportunity to buy the book before it even goes to print. So we'll have some cool stuff there too. So keep in mind jetpack7.com and also conceptopolis.com. That's where you'll find us. And we're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, awesome, man. Let me go ahead and get that Kickstarter link. That is right here. There. Firebringer's already got it. There is the Kickstarter link in chat, and also twitter.com/conceptopolis. Go ahead and give them a follow. Check out their work, and make sure you check out that Kickstarter. And if you're interested, there's a few days left for you to get in on it. Now, here's what I want to ask before we bounce.
Yeah.
If I were to say, well, obviously I'm probably gonna buy myself a copy, but I don't know if I think we might be able to get a copy to one of our viewers when it comes out.
Maybe another contest.
I don't know. That sounds like it. I think
that would be a contest.
We'll definitely work out getting a copy for one of you lucky guys, because that is a book I know I would love to give away. We'll figure out how to get it in your hands.
We'll definitely hook you up.
Oh man,
at Gen Con. So physical book. I think that'd be a great contest, and yeah, we'd love to, man.
I'll definitely, if you're all there, I'll get everyone who made it to sign it, and that'll be a cool prize.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much to Aaron. Go ahead and obviously thank him on Twitter. All that good stuff. If you guys are new to the channel, by the way, my name is Asker, and I'm your host and dungeon master here, where we have live D&D or live role playing twice a week. That's Sunday or Saturday with our open legend RPG campaign, Writhing Moon. It's a horror campaign. It's fantastic. The players are great, and we're having a blast doing it, and that's at 9 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, and also you can come back at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday for Jade Regent, which is our ongoing D&D 5th edition campaign. It's funny, we have drinking rules, we have all kinds of good stuff, it's hilarious, it's sponsored by Sirenscape, it's a great time. We have other stuff that's going on during the week. Why you should come here, because I know you can't hear me because I'm off mic. We have other giveaways that we do. We're doing all through the month. We gave away 2 in February. We're going to be giving 2 away in March of these brand new Wormwood Gaming dice vaults. You can see them right here. I have 2 of them left. These were sent to me by the awesome people at Wormwood to give away to you guys. So we will put those in your hands in March. And obviously we have that DM's kit giveaway. So check that out. Obviously, this has been the Fuzzy Dice Show. What else is on the channel? Map Monday? Sure. Live creative drawing streams? Sure, we do it all. Definitely go check us out. Social media is just at Askren on Twitter. Dice Thulu will give you the link right there. You can follow me where I talk about D&D and tweet the word butts a lot. And also you can keep up with everything that's going on with the channel. You should also definitely follow us on YouTube, where all of our videos are uploaded after after we're done here, and you can find all the back episodes. Every episode of Fuzzy Dice with everyone I've ever hung out with, yeah, that's all there. So go check that out. And I think the last thing I will say is if you guys are enjoying the show, and I certainly hope you are, you can, right below, if you look, there is a subscribe button. You can hit that subscribe button, and you can become a subscriber on GameWisp. It's $5 a month, and you get all kinds of benefits, like stuff that you can use to affect the games, the live games that we play. You get bonuses, you get ranks in our Discord. It's really cool, and of course we're adding more stuff to the subscribers, the subscriber tier all the time. So exclusive giveaways, art giveaways, all kinds of other stuff. It's all there. So if you really enjoy the show, you should definitely consider becoming a subscriber. The benefits are great. That's going to be it for me. A huge thanks to my guest. A huge thanks to all of you. And a huge thanks to Millsy for that fucking shout out. What the hell? We will see you guys next time. I think I'll probably be on tomorrow for Creative Stream. But as always, don't let Dice Thulu get his tentacles on you, because he gets very handsy when he does. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.